great thing about Mother Nature is that she never ceases to surprise you. And just when you think you've worked her all out, she throws you a curved ball. I'm in the Shoalhaven area of the south coast of New South Wales, and the climate here is generally considered to be sort of temperate to subtropical. Well, be prepared when you see the plants that are thriving here to rethink everything that you know about gardening.
You think you know me best, and I know me best. Here I go, yeah. And we holler when we're feeling lonely, yeah.
This is the garden of Clint Bramston. Now, Clint is a garden designer, but he's operating a wholesale production nursery on this site right here. But maybe more importantly, behind the scenes, he's a crazy avid plant collector. He'll go into backyards and suburbs all over Australia, and in fact all over the world, looking for unusual and rare plants to bring back into the country. He then trials and tests them here in his own garden. He watches to see how they perform, and if they're good, he will then release them to the garden centres and the home gardeners of Australia. Originally, he fell in love and his passion were bamboos. Now, this fellow here is the variegated Buddha belly bamboo. He's cleared the culms or the stems away so you can see the variegated stems and the unusual shape, and then clipped the top, the foliage, into a lollipop, which is really quite an unusual feature for a garden. This fellow here is considered to be one of the biggest, strongest bamboos in the world. This is black asper. In fact, you can make buildings out of this, it's so strong. But this is only the beginning of an extraordinary garden.
Never say, never say, never say.
Now, in the beginning, Clint surrounded the entire property with bamboo. At the front, it's slender weaver, a very popular bamboo for a lot of gardeners and landscapers use. On this side, it's the giant ghost bamboo. The whole thing was that once you've got that screen protecting the garden, it creates a microclimate within it. And then you can really do some great experimentation with plants. Now, the fishtail palm you see in Queensland because it's considered tropical, but there are 50 different varieties or species. This one here comes from the high altitude mountains of Burma. Look at the way the sun is shining through those leaves. But this one is a cool climate palm. You could grow this, maybe even Canberra, certainly in Melbourne. On the other side, we've got an edging of Philodendron Xanadu. Now, it's an indoor plant. You see it on vertical gardens. The Zamia, which is the cardboard palm, is just inside there. Tough as, a really tough palm. And then you've got pandanus palms, but one of my absolute favourites, look at this colour here. This is Bismarckia palm, and it just gets bigger and it really displays that silver foliage. We're actually seeing them in city gardens and parks much more than what we ever have. If you've got a big property, plant one of those. It's stunning. Now, it's here where Clint has created a microclimate within a microclimate. He's in here somewhere. Hello, there you go.
G'day, mate.
How are you, buddy?
Graham?
You
Great.
good?
Yeah.
You good?
Welcome.
So, what's this? This your jungle?
This is my happy place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't been here, more than 5-6 years now. And,
Really?
Yeah, and all the palms are starting to really shelter out all these lower plants.
So what have you got here? This a philodendron?
This is a Philodendron Congo, this one.
You see it as an indoor plant, but it's very happy in here.
Very, very happy.
Clivias,
Clivias,
Bathyphyllum, the peace lily.
Everything gets a shot.
See, you'd think this was Townsville, far north Queensland, tropical Queensland, but here we are, way down the south coast of Australia.
You can definitely do it. Just try whatever, You don't know what's going to...
Irisine for a bit of bright colour.
Good old-fashioned irisine.
Yeah, tough as old
tough
boots.
as. You can self-propagate it too, like...
Just little cuttings?
Yeah, do your own cuttings. And this is this beautiful ficus pumila growing up the side of this palm. I often see this growing on the side of buildings, It needs a bit of a hedge. The whole idea about this will be, over time, planting some elk horns and stags and orchids and all sorts of things that will grow up.
I noticed as I walked in, you've got an elk or a stag growing on one of the palms, but you've got a native dendrobium orchid sitting in it. That's a really good tip. I'm going to take that home. It's a great idea.
You can have that one.
Thank you.
That's one of the great things about gardening, you know.
Clint, I have just seen the hottest,
Oh.
the hottest
What have
plant
you found?
in Australia. A variegated monstera right over in there.
Yeah, well, that one's... You need a good set of eyes to find those.
I found it.
It came out of my grandmother's garden.
Well, the prices will eventually come down when there's more of them about.
So we thought that, but
Yeah,
you know, they're still getting, you know, a small plant like that could be $2,000.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. But I have to say, one of my favourite plants of all you've got here, the Alcantara, the regular one, you've got the pink one.
Yep.
But what about these variegated ones?
These guys are really, really extraordinary. So this variegation is actually a mutation. They could be a 1 in 1,000 seedling, and they've been carefully selected out.
Yeah. Did you have gardening in your family? Was it in your blood?
Yeah.
Was it really?
Dad went to Riot. He's a landscape architect, and Mum's a plant nerd, so she's a collector of palms and things.
So no hope.
I had no hope, no.
Plant collecting is in Clint Bramston's blood, and we've seen a small selection of his treasures. But he has so much more to show us. This is fascinating, Clint. Not only an accomplished plant collector and nurseryman, but you're a garden designer as well. So you get your inspiration from your international travels?
Yeah, had the luxury to travel a lot of exotic places in the world. It's something I'm very passionate about, travel and you know, drawing inspiration from all these amazing places, you know.
Where are we? Thailand? Bali?
Yeah, well, it's actually, it's Bali. But, you know, they just do such a beautiful garden in Indonesia.
Now, Clint, there's a very different sort of feel to your garden here.
Yeah, well, this is the evolution for me, and in terms of, you know, adapting to the climate. It's going to go dry again.
Yeah.
It's, you know, this is where we live. So I've, you know, started to evolve a little bit in terms of, you know, growing things that don't need as much water and maintenance.
Well, what about this spectacular grass tree? This looks like Xanthorrhea glauca, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. They'll grow up in northern New South Wales, and it's kind of adapted that blue colour, you know, purely from its environment. The blue colour in plants tends to reflect the sun a little bit and make them a bit more hardy.
Now, people are growing these from seeds, aren't they?
Yeah, they do really well from seed. These guys can live for hundreds and hundreds of years. You can have a look at the trunk here. You can kind of date these growth rings. That would be a year, say. But you can imagine these things 3 to 4 metres tall, you know, enormous. And they can, you know, split in head as well. And it'll go in any type of garden, exotic or native.
Now, this is very South American.
Yeah.
You know, these columns with a big base and bowls on the top.
Yeah.
You designed these and had them made overseas, these columns.
There's probably no one in Australia mad enough to kind of carve them out, I think. But I got a guy in Indonesia that works for us took about a month, and he carved them on the inside out. And yeah, they're designed to have lights in them. They're probably about 3 tonne each. They're really not everyone's cup of tea.
Now, what plants have you got cascading out of these bowls?
So these are a bit of an unusual one. They're not very common. It's called Portulacaria afra. It's an old jade plant, like the money tree.
Yeah.
But this particular variety hangs right down, so it's really useful as a ground cover.
The fiery sticks up on the top.
Sticks, yeah.
Very dramatic.
With lights on them, they look really, really cool at night. So, Graham, this is the latest venture.
This is the future. This is the evolution from the bamboo to the palms, everything else, and now cacti and succulents. How did you end up here?
Well, again, like it was kind of forced on me by climate, really, you know, and the changing climate and, you know, lack of rainfall. You know, it's brought me to growing plants that don't need any water. A lot of these guys, for instance, your aloe over here will flower in drought, adding a lot of colour to the garden. You can see over here, we've got these beautiful agave.
That is a luminous.
Isn't it? Yeah.
That colour on the margin of the
Shine.
leaf, it just shines out. So what's that?
This is agave desmediana. The name is Galactic Traveller, and the name lends itself to what it is, you know. That's just got that beautiful mirror shine, especially in the sun. Even at night time, it almost glows. But this stuff will just survive everything, you know, with no water.
Yeah, and you've got good drainage up here with the gravel.
Really good. We put a lot, you know.
Look at this.
150 tonnes of sand in here.
Ah, right.
Which is, you know, really important for all this sort of stuff that it drains really well.
But look at these here, these incredible aloes, big candelabras of colour.
These just started flowering. You know, they add a bit of brightness to a sea of green.
Drama.
You know?
So this is going to be your future now for a few
I
years?
think so, yeah. It's become a real passion, and I, you know, look forward to maybe expanding, find my way to new things, and, you know, challenge myself as a gardener.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a healthy thing.